So we're back in the Shropshire kitchen garden. It's such a busy time of year this. We're at the end of April. Things that we've been growing in the polytunnel have been hardening off outside in their pots for the last few days. Gradually they're now ready to plant out in the garden. So I'm going to plant out, we've got some strawberries to plant out. We've got various members of the cabbage family, broccoli and the like. Also a bit of work on the potatoes and some more stuff in the polytunnel. So let's get on with it. We've got the cabbages that we planted last time. They're coming on very nicely. What I've put over them is I've put over this fine netting. And the idea with that will keep out particularly cabbage white butterflies. Sunlight and water, all of that will get through. And I've now been preparing this bed here. I've put a bit of lime, which are the white little dots there. And I'm going to plant out in this more of the cabbage family. With these blue bits here, they're a bit of leftover water pipe, and then I can then put over this more of the cabbage netting. I planted potatoes here in the beds. Good Friday, which is the tradition. Supposedly the moon phase is right then, but maybe there are also religious connotations to it as well. The potatoes are now coming up. I buried them in trenches. This first trench here is just coming up over the soil here, and I'm going to now earth up the soil over them. The middle row here I've already partially earthed that a few days ago, and the third row over there, this morning I've already earthed those up anyway, just so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so those are nicely earthed up now. I'll give them a bit of a water later on. The point of doing this is it makes the plant grow stronger, but it also protects them from frost. We're late April now, it's been really warm for the last few weeks, but we commonly get frosts into May, and that will burn off the leaves of the early potatoes, and I don't want that. So if it looks like you are going to get a frost where you are, those potato leaves are above ground. Earth them up or cover them over with some newspaper for the night. So with the strawberry bed, what I've got here is I've got a row which I planted 4 years ago, a row 3 years ago, a row 2 years ago, and I'm planting a new row here. And the idea being is that next year I'll plant a new row at the end there, but I'll take the first row out. So each plant is never more than 4 years old, and we've constantly got fresh coming through in a cycle. And what I've done with the plants, the strawberries after they've fruited, they send out runners, and these runners grow into new plants. So over the winter I dig those out and I've put them on into pots, and they're now ready to plant out again. I'm also ready, I haven't got any at the moment, I'll need to get some. I'll put some straw around all of the plants. It helps keep the fruit off the ground and helps keep slugs and snails away. We'll also, you can see I've put some water pipe here, and I'll put netting over all of these once the fruit has set. I need to keep birds off the fruit. I also need to keep children and dogs away from that until we're ready to eat them. So we'll dig a hole. Well, what I've done here is I've created a ridge, a mound here. I'm digging a hole in that, and underneath all of this I've got a good lot of compost. Firm it in, and I'll give that a good water later on. Well, we've actually had some rain for the first time in weeks, months even. So outside, that's wonderful, it's soaking some of the plants that we've been growing out there. A good opportunity to come into the polytunnel and catch up with a few things in here. You remember recently we planted some aubergine. Look how well they've come on. And we've also got some pumpkins here. Now with both of those I'm going to have to pot them on into bigger pots. We also at the same time planted sweet corn. Remember I planted some of those in a mushroom tray? Look how well they've come up. And I planted another lot at the same time, and I've already just moved them on into bigger pots. The next job I've got, these tomatoes, they're just beginning to look a little bit unhappy in these pots. This one I moved into a bigger pot 3 or 4 days ago. And look how much that's grown in comparison, how much healthier that is. So I've got to do the same thing for the rest of these tomatoes. They might go one size bigger before ultimately they then go out into their beds. We'll see how we get on. So these tomatoes, you can see that the roots there are beginning to grow through the fibre pots. So I'm going to now put that into a bigger pot. I'm just going to slightly rip it. It just gives us an opportunity for the plant then to grow into the new pot with some fresh soil around it. I'll do another one now. Similar, the roots are coming through there. I'm going to plant some Brussel sprouts in the new bed that we created recently. You can see over there the cabbages that we planted last week. Look how well they're coming on. You can also see the soil is a little bit darker at the moment. We've just had the first bit of rain has come through. It's lovely, that beautiful smell after fresh rain. But also, I mean, it's barely done anything to the soil. I mean, look at this. Look how dry the soil is. So the important thing really I'm making here is that you need to keep on top of the watering, even in these throughout these dry periods. I've laid out my pots here, and I'm just going to put them in very simply. And then firm them in. Now Brussels sprouts, because they end up growing to be a very tall, very heavily laden plant, we want the soil to be really firm. so they get their roots in there, compacted soil. I'll also need to stake them on as well. Okay, well that was busy, so there's lots going on, as I say, at this time of year, at the end of April. There's plenty more for us to be doing in May. Next time I'll show you we'll be harvesting some asparagus. We should be getting the first of the salad crops, things like radishes, lettuces. We're not going to be very far away from the first new potatoes. So join me next time on the Shropshire Kitchen Garden. Goodbye.